Hi, Lee from Aussie Liberty here. So today I want to talk about kind of government and choice and competition. So one of my things, I wouldn't consider myself an anarchist so much as an anti-statist. I think that it's a problem that governments don't compete like every other organization in the world, which I've talked about in my very first video, which I'll put a link to. And so usually when I discuss with people who don't think like I do, they say, well, government should have to compete. We should be able to choose our governments like we choose anything else. Why is it that I'm forced to pay into this monopoly? Monopolies don't work, so on and so forth. And people say, when anybody would declare themselves king? And I say, well, yeah, they could. Anybody could make themselves, create their own governments and then compete with other governments, as if that's somehow a ludicrous thing. Like if I wanted to make if I didn't like iPhones or Android or whatever else there is out there, and I said, well, I'm gonna make myself a new phone. I'm gonna create a new phone that's gonna revolutionize the market for mobile phones. People would be like, oh, great, good for you. Some even might have invested in it. But if I say, well, I think I can do a better job than Malcolm Turnbull and Bill Shorten, I'm somehow like some kind of lunatic. Like that's just doesn't make any sense to me. So you have this situation, and I think the other aspect of this kind of sort of inability to sort of understand is that when you look, I don't think people realize the nature of history when it comes to how government operates. So people say, well, anybody can declare themselves king. Well, what do you think happened in England? 1,000 years ago, whatever it was. You had all these, the history of government is some guy gets the idea that he wants to conquer his neighbors, so he conquers his neighbors. He then declares himself king. If you have that for a long enough period of time, people just assume that there will be a king. Like it's not like the Windsors and the predecessors of the Windsors, like somehow got the consent of the people that they conquered. Like they just did it. And then they declared themselves king. And then people just accept that they're king because they declared themselves king, and then the system goes on. And if you look at the history of Australia, well, what happened? White people came to this continent. They said, okay, all of you guys, you don't have any political organizations we're going to respect. We declared ourselves to be king. And now you are now subject to us. And if you don't like it, we're going to shoot you. Like, that, if you have a problem with the notion of people declaring themselves to be king, well, then you need to scrap the state, because that's exactly how it operates. It exactly operates by people declaring themselves to be king. But in the case of the state, you don't get a choice. Where in the world that I want to see, you have a choice. You have, Bill Shorten can declare himself to be king. Malcolm Turnbull, Richard Di Natale, Lee Rhiannon, any freaking Bob Catter. Anybody could declare themselves to operate an organization that provides governance as a service, as opposed to determining that you are now subject to them because they declare that you are now subject to them, and you have no choice. And if you want to give your money to somebody else, they're going to shoot you. That seems to be a far superior way of thinking about the world. Of I'm going to give you something you want, as opposed to, which is the market system, the market for governance, as opposed to the way the state works, which is just do it or die. I'd love to hear your thoughts in your comments. Please comment below. You can subscribe to my channel, and you can also go to my Facebook page, facebook.com/Aussie Liberty. Actually, we're also on Twitter, which is @AussieLiberty. And when I say we, I mean me. So if you want to check me out, there you go. Thanks for joining me, and I'll have more videos out later.